Alright guys, we are going to talk a little about this Smitty's fire that started Friday. Being from a place, from East Palestine that has, been through a disaster like this, I'm seeing the same operating procedure basically every big company uses in government to try to suppress this. It is sickening. For those of you that don't make it to the end of this video, I'm going to put my wise words in the beginning, just in case you don't make it to the end. My one take for any of you people, any of you guys living down there, document everything, okay? Pictures, video, what's in your yard, what's on your vehicles. I seen it was raining oil, and that's just perfectly normal, I guess, for it to rain oil because they don't see nothing wrong with it. If you get the, well, it's probably going to be a contractor come if they offer to clean up your yard. You have the right to film them as they clean up your yard. Okay, document how they clean it up. Same thing with the creeks, the rivers. I don't know what all flows down through there. I seen they closed the one off to basically, I think it was just boat traffic. Now, I don't know what brainiac would take their boat and drive up a river full of oil. But I'm from my take on that, I'm guessing they're restricting access to that because they don't want video footage getting out of what the river, creeks, streams, whatever, etc., what's flowing down them. That's my take from that. But just the one takeaway from this video is going to be document everything. I've seen some great videos down there of what I would call independent journalists, because basically, you have a phone, you have a camera, you can record videos, okay? You are going to be the news down there coming out of your community, okay? It's not going to be mainstream media. It's going to be you, the small people, the small guys, let's say, putting out this info on how they handle this whole situation. Now, I see the way they're handling it now is just ridiculous, but it follows the same operating procedures they handled every other, disaster. So it doesn't surprise me. So my main take is document everything. Okay, now I don't want to get in trouble for you, breaking the law. You got to observe private property, and stuff like that. But you are allowed to film them when they're working, okay? Unless Louisiana law is way different, you have the Second Amendment right to film. So that's my take from this video. You guys are going to be the news that comes out how this is handled, okay? Like I said, don't rely on mainstream media because they won't show what the real truth of what's going on. So let's get into this some. I'm just going to cover some of this. Basically, they make just about every kind of oil antifreeze you can imagine, as you can see from their product list. Why I say this is going to be a big, huge, basically cover-up operation is because who you're going against, okay? You're going against big oil. They have contracts with Shell, Pennzoil, Quaker State, Chevron, and Castrol. Plus they have their own brand. Plus they distribute to 90 plus foreign countries. So you're fighting big oil. And Big Oil's going to do their best to downplay this whole situation and get off as cheap as they can. 4 facilities. You get one in Texas, one in Indiana, one in Mississippi, then you get the one in Louisiana. So they got their own blow mold injectors, so that means plastic. They had plastic pellets on hand, plastic burniness. You had the plastic containers burniness, plus all the additives and stuff they put in certain oils. You know, they vary from oil to oil. I'm not going to get into all that. But you have all them additives either mixed in with the oil that already burned or in the storage tanks. They can store 11 million gallons of bulk plus another 8.7 million gallons of bulk. They had they expanded their facility to include a over 14 acre warehouse space under a roof. From the looks of the fire, I don't know if it was the warehouse that was taken out or it was the manufacturing facility that was taken out, but pretty much there's nothing left of it. That fire got hot enough to basically melt the iron supports of the building, so it burned pretty hot. Let's get into some videos. This video right here just kills me. This is I'm guessing the local school. This is how they're cleaning the parking lot at local school. So we're pressure washing the soot and ash and probably the oil residue down a storm drain. Okay, now this has to be illegal on so many ways. You know, can I take my motor oil and go dump it down the local storm drain? How fast do you think I would be fined and maybe possibly be arrested? But they're dumping this. They're basically spraying this off into a storm drain, which probably drains into the local waterway, which probably drains into the local, you know, streams, rivers, whatnot. You know, this school needs clean from top to bottom. It needs the ventilation system cleaned, and the whole school from, you know, wiped down from top to bottom, cleaned correctly. Okay, now they may half-ass clean it, excuse my language, and just wipe the walls down and be like everything's okay, like they try to do to the houses here in East Palestine. But it needs professionally cleaned by a cleaner that deals in hazmat chemicals removal. If that will happen, I doubt it. I found this thing. This is 30 miles. Okay, 30 miles the way the river. Yeah, I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name of this river. But this is 30 miles the way the river flows from Smitty, and look at the top layer of this river. It is just disgusting. I expect a fish kill. I haven't seen no videos yet, but I expect there are dead fish. Just may not have been released yet. Any videos released, it has to be because this sheer amount of whatever's mixed in with this oil, along with, you know, the stuff is going to sink down to the sediment to the bottom of it, the creek, and a lot of your oils are going to stay to the top. There has to be fish kills down here, but I haven't seen any yet, so we'll wait and see. It's a nice drone footage of what's flowing down this river. Disgusting. You know, but they got the containment set up. You know, they're taking care of all this. This is fine. It's perfectly normal. Here's some pictures of the sheen that was taken, yesterday at 1:30. I mean, that is gross. Let's see here. They deployed approximately 1,900 feet of containment boom in the river and 100 foot in a nearby drainage ditch. There's 8 boats, 8 airboats that are supporting recovery. So they've really, as of, I guess, yesterday maybe, 2 frac tanks, which is a combined of 900 barrels of fluid, have been recovered. So you only recovered 900 barrels. You have a lot more to go. You better get down there and get to work. This just shows the overview of how big the fire was. It didn't start out this big, but, I can see most of the tanks are gone. This warehouse in the center is gone. These warehouses on the end, they're pretty much, they're all gone on the latest video I've seen. See, the thing is, when, it's kind of a non-winning battle, okay? When the fire department shows up, all they have basically to use is water. Now, what happens when you put water on an oil fire? Nothing. The oil floats on top and the fire spreads. Now, I understand there's a no-win battle because basically you got to use the water to try to keep the other tanks cool so you don't have explosions, but yet you're dumping, I don't know how many, hundreds of thousands of gallons of water they put on this before they finally use foam, which foam is not good for the environment either. But you're basically spreading the fire by using water. But like I said, it's a no-win situation when it comes to that. Because you got to try to mitigate, maybe a future explosion, but yet you're helping spread this fire by putting water on a oil fire. But there's no winning. Residents talking about the oily water, oily rain. This is pretty disgusting. Is this the one? This is where, I kind of have, some problems with. You got OSHA investigating the explosion. The unemployed Smitty workers receiving help finding new jobs. Okay, instead of them helping them find new jobs, why don't you just pay them their wages because they no longer have their jobs at the moment? But maybe some of them guys want to work somewhere else. I don't know. Cleanup efforts underway. They've had a history of EPA violations, a big surprise. So as most of the manufacturers that has had disasters, they've usually had EPA violations. That's why I say EPA violations are basically pointless, because they smack you on the hand with a little petty fine and allow you to continue your operations, and without no recourse on you polluting the environment. Is there anything else I want to do on here? I don't think so. I like how they say no injuries reported from the explosion. My take of that is, yeah, there was no injuries at the time of the explosion. No, you're going to see injuries coming in the weeks, the months, and definitely the years following the explosion. They always want to brag that there was no injuries, but nobody died when it exploded, but later on down the road, I do expect there to be, ramifications of the fallout from this, from what I've seen from pictures. I haven't seen no testing results back. With the EPA in charge, I'm guessing they're going to say everything's fine. Nothing to worry about, but we'll wait and see. The oily rain and soot, we already covered that. EPA recent fines. My point exactly. They just give fines. Let's see here. What else do we want to get into? What happened to this page? All right, it kind of. Oh, we already got lawsuits filed. There we go. I didn't. Dang, that was loud. Let's see here. They ain't saying who filed lawsuits. Oh, okay. At least one lawsuit was filed by a resident, appears to be a resident. So they're already coming in, and don't be surprised if they put this into a class action lawsuit because the amount of people that's going to be in this lawsuit. They'll loop it into a class action. You'll get incompetent attorneys, like maybe even the same ones we had here in East Palestine, because they're ambulance chasers. And they'll basically sell you out for nothing. They'll push us through before they totally know the health effects of what happened. So just fair warning there. Nice video of the explosion. I'm guessing it's one of the tanks exploding. See, one thing I noticed about this is I can let this play. It's a minute long. Most of these firefighters is not wearing breathing protection. That was the big problem we had in East Palestine, is because a lot of the firefighters wasn't wearing SCBAs, basically their air tanks, or some kind of breathing protection. An N95 mask isn't going to help protect you from chemicals. It will from the particles if it's sealed right against your face, but it won't protect you against chemicals. Just watching this video, I see so many firefighters that almost all the firefighters I see has no breathing protection on at all. So look for an uptick of illnesses with the firefighters, the police departments, everybody who was pretty close in the vicinity of this. It's the same thing we've seen in. Oh wow! I didn't see it as much as. Oh man, look at that! Wants to make you take a swim. But anyways, look for an uptick in that. I don't understand that why it's not relayed that we have a chemical fire going on, and I don't know if they choose not to wear that, but I think it should be mandatory they wear that. Just because you're dealing with chemicals, I don't know. It's just I don't see that. It's the same thing we had in East Palestine, and I see the exact same thing there. Just some videos down here. I guess a lot of the workers. I mean, this warehouse is totally destroyed. A lot of cars burnt. This is just amazing. And they're just bulldozing it like it's nothing. But my like I said, my whole take, like I said from the beginning, is record. My email address is in my video description if you would like to come on and tell your side of the story. If you just want to write your side of the story, I don't release names of people who does not want their stuff released. During East Palestine stuff, I had so many workers that knew they were able to tell me stuff, and I was not going to release who it came from. I probably still have stuff I have never released for the simple fact that I'm afraid it could be traced back to this certain person, and this person confided me in enough to tell me what they seen or what was going on, etc., that I wasn't going to expose who they were. If you want to tell your story, if you want to send pictures, video, the inbox is open. If you please if you don't want your name put out there, I won't put any names out. If you want to send video content, if you have a YouTube, I will promote your YouTube channel for you if you're sharing, footage of what's going on down there. If you don't care, feel free to reach out because, I'm not going to put people's name out there because I know how split the community is going to be about this. You're going to have a lot of the community that thinks everything's fine and they just don't want their pretty little rainbow life interrupted with this and they want it back to normal. And then you're going to have the people that are, I don't want to say that's kind of mean to say have more brain cells, but are kind of smarter on this whole thing and realize you can't have this big of a fire and have this deposit of oil and ash and chemical smoke and everything blown everywhere without maybe let's say possible future health effects, which I'm not really going to say possible. Let's say future health effects. So expect a divided community on this as you get farther out. We're already 2.5 years, past East Palestine, and we still have a divided community. Even with the proof of, people being sick from it, we still have a divided community. So you'll never get the whole community on boat. But, guys, just hang in there. You have people that has been through, a disaster, maybe not of this magnitude or of this kind, but you have people out there, and there's a lot of great people out there that will kind of help you through this. It's not going to be an easy road, I will tell you right now. The officials won't make it easy. The court cases ain't going to make it easy. But just hang in there. You got people on your side. You're not alone. You have great people. I'm going to call him out. The Blue Shirt Justice League, Scott Smith. A lot of you guys may have. He was just down there recently taking preliminary samples, I guess you want to call it. Great person. He helped greatly here in East Palestine. In Moss Landing, I can't remember another battery fire. But he goes everywhere, and he will give you the honest to truth answer. You might have agencies like the EPA and state agencies that don't agree with him. But he will give you the honest answer. Reach out to him. I know he's been getting flooded now since he's been down there. And there's a lot of great other great people to reach out to. As this goes on, I know this is only a couple days past. Like I said, in the coming months and years after, it is going to be burdensome. But just hang in there because you guys ain't alone. You have a lot of people on your side. You have a lot of people that's willing to tell your stories. So just hang in there. So that's going to be my take on this. 25 minutes, a little longer than I wanted to go. But, just wanted to give you some backdrop and some videos that I found online and just the sheer, I want to say incompetence of, government agencies to pretty much say there's nothing to see here without really any testing coming back either, which I'm kind of surprised. But same thing they did in East Palestine, Moss Landing, etc. So hang in there, guys. You are in our thoughts. Like I said, plenty of people to reach out to. And I will keep on this as much as I can. I will keep looking for updates for this as best I can. Like I said, you want to send anything, please, email addresses in the description. If you want to tell your story, etc., please reach out. If not, that's fine. I will still keep on trying to cover this and do what I can on my end. But, without being down there and physically filming what's going on, I'm only limited to what I am being given. So it kind of makes it hard to tell the whole story. But, maybe some of you journalists, you're independent journalists, or just a simple nobody like I was. I was a simple nobody before East Palestine, I'm just a nobody out there holding the camera. That's what I always said. I never wanted to be famous. I did it because I wanted to get the truth out there. So I know a lot of people out there have good intentions. Like I said, film, document, do whatever you can because you have the right to. And, it may not help you in the long run court-wise, but it will help in the long run to show the incompetence of the agencies that handle these disasters. So I will talk to you guys later, and like I said, hang in there.